Morning, Bella and Gautam. Morning, Amy. Okay, we'll get started with the precepts for those who'd like to take them. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang sampurnang. Good morning, Risa. Panatipata and John. Panatipata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sura Merya Majjapamaddatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Tisiranena Sadding Panchasilang Dhammang Samadhiyatva Sadhukang Surakkatang Katva Appamadena Sampadeta Bang. Silena Sukating Yanti, Silena Bhoga Sampada, Silena Nibbuting Yanti, Tasma Silang Visode. Okay, friends. Hello to those who joined while we were doing the precepts. Welcome to the first Monday of 2021. Let's get to our regular daily chanting. Since it's Monday, we do it in English. Homage to the Sublime One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Homage to the Sublime One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Homage to the Sublime One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Such indeed is the Sublime One, worthy, perfectly enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, well gone, knower of the worlds, supreme trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and exalted. Well expounded is the Dhamma by the Sublime One, directly visible, unaffected by time, calling one to come and see, leading onwards to be realized by the wise. The order of the Sublime One's disciples is practicing well. The order of the Sublime One's disciples is of upright conduct. The order of the Sublime One's disciples has entered the right path. The order of the Sublime One's disciples is practicing correctly. That is, the 4 pairs of persons, the 8 kinds of individuals. This order of the Sublime One's disciples is worthy of offerings and hospitality, worthy of gifts and salutation, supreme field of merit for the world. The Buddha, well purified with ocean-like compassion, possessed of the eye of knowledge, completely purified, destroyer of the evils and corruption of the world. I revere that Buddha with devotion. Homage to you, sir nobly bred. Homage to you amongst men supreme. Peerless are you in all the world. May all homage be given to you. The teacher's Dhamma, like a lamp, divided into path, fruition, and the deathless, both itself transcendent and showing the way to that goal. I revere that Dhamma with devotion. Thoroughly understanding the Dhamma and freed from longing through insight, the wise one who is rid of all desire is calm as a pool unstirred by wind. Those to whom the Dhamma is clear are not led into other doctrines. Perfectly enlightened with perfect knowledge, they walk evenly over the uneven. Of all the medicines in the world, manifold and various, there is none like the medicine of Dhamma. Therefore, O monks, drink of this. Having drunk this Dhamma medicine, you will be ageless and beyond death. Having developed and seen the truth, you will be quenched, free from craving. The Sangha called the field better than the best, who have seen peace, awakening after the Buddha's good way, who have abandoned attachment, the noble ones, the wise. I revere that Sangha with devotion. Happy is the arising of the Buddhas. Happy is the teaching of the true Dhamma. Happy is the unity of the Sangha. Happy is the discipline of the united ones. They go to many a refuge, those who have been struck by fear. They go to the mountains and forests, to parks and trees and shrines. But none of these is a secure refuge. None is the refuge supreme. Not by relying on such a refuge can one be freed from all suffering. But one who has gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha sees with perfect wisdom the 4 noble truths. Suffering, the arising of suffering, the transcending of suffering, and the Noble Eightfold Path that leads to suffering's final end. This is the refuge that is secure. This is the refuge that is supreme. By relying on such a refuge as this, one is released from all suffering. By this practice of Dhamma, in accord with the Dhamma, I venerate the Buddha. By this practice of Dhamma, in accord with the Dhamma, I venerate the Dhamma. By this practice of Dhamma, in accord with the Dhamma, I venerate the Sangha. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Actors speak with a defiled state of mind, then suffering follows, as the cartwheel follows the foot of the ox. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Actors speak with a pure state of mind, then happiness follows, as your shadow follows you without departing. Impermanent are all conditioned things, affected by rising and falling away. Having arisen, they then must cease. Blissful is it when they subside. Abstaining from all evil, doing what is good, cleansing one's mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Patience is the highest practice. Nibbana is supreme, say the Buddhas. A mendicant does not harm others. A recluse oppresses no one. Not insulting, not harming, restrained according to the moral code. Moderating in food, dwelling in solitude, engaging in higher mental development. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. By the blessings that have arisen from my practice, may my venerable preceptors and teachers who have helped me, mother, father, and relatives, male and female rulers, worldly powers, the virtuous human beings, the higher beings, demons, and high gods, the guardian deities of the world, celestial beings, the Lord of Death, friendly people, indifferent and hostile, may all beings be well. May the skillful deeds done by me bring you threefold bliss. May this quickly bring you to the deathless. By means of this meritorious deed, and through this aspiration, may I quickly attain the cutting off of craving and clinging. Whatever faults I have until I am liberated, may they quickly perish. Wherever I am born, may there be an upright mind. Mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor, may no harmful influences weaken my efforts. The Buddha is the unsurpassed protector. Dhamma is the supreme protection. Peerless is the silent Buddha. The Sangha is my true refuge. By the power of these exalted ones, may I rise above all defilements. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish. May I join always with the wise until the time I attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, friends. We continue with our reading through the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Yeah, all right. Just double checking here. I think the page that we have marked we already did. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Because last time we learned about aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. That we were not subject to this. Cannot be attained by wishing. So now we're on the next page. So we are on page 183. Katamecha bhikkave sankittena panchupadana kanda dukkha sayatidang rupupadana kando vedanupadana kando sanyupadana kando sankarupadana kando vinyaupadana kando eme vuchanti bhikkave sankittena panchupadana kando api kandapi dukkha idang vucchati bhikkave dukkhang arya satchang samudaya satcha niddeso Katamancha bhikkave dukkha samudayo ariya satchang yayang tanha pono bhavika nandi raga sahagata tatra binandini sayati dang kama tanha bhava tanha vibhava tanha sako panesa bhikkave tanha kata upajjana upajjati kata nivasamana nivissati yang loke piyarupang satarupang etesa tanha upajjamana upajjati eta nivissamana nivissati kincha loke piyarupang satarupang Chakung loke piyarupang satarupang etesa tanha upajjamana upajjati eta nivissamana nivissati sotang loke piyarupang satarupang etesa tanha upajjamana upajjati eta nivissamana nivissati Kanang loke piyarupang satarupang ettesa tanha upajjamana upajjati etta nivissamana nivissati jiva loke piyarupang satarupang ettesa tanha upajjamana upajjati etta nivissamana nivissati Kayo loke piyarupang satarupang ettesa tanha upajjamana upajjati etta nivissamana nivissati Mano loke piyarupang satarupang ettesa tanha upajjamana upajjati etta nivissamana nivissati. All right, now the English. Let's see here. And what bhikkhus are the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, that in brief are suffering? They are the material form aggregate affected by clinging, the feeling aggregate affected by clinging, the perception aggregate affected by clinging, the volitional formations aggregate affected by clinging, and the consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. These are called the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, that in brief are suffering. This bhikkhus is called the noble truth of suffering. Exposition on the truth of origination. So now we've gone to the second noble truth. And what bhikkhus is the noble truth of the origin of suffering? It is craving, which brings renewal of being, is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and that. That is, craving for sensual pleasures, craving for existence, craving for non-existence, the 3 forms of tanha. When this craving arises, bhikkhus, where does it arise? When it settles down, where does it settle? Now this is another schematic, another scheme that the Buddha gives, especially with regards to how to investigate the 6 senses. So keep an eye on this. Where does it arise? Where does craving arise? Where does it settle down? Okay. Whatever in the world has a pleasant and agreeable nature, it is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles down when it settles down. And what in the world has a pleasant and agreeable nature? The eye has a pleasant and agreeable nature in the world. It is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles down when it settles down. The ear has a pleasant and agreeable nature in the world. It is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles down when it settles down. The nose has a pleasant and agreeable nature in the world. It is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles down when it settles down. The tongue has a pleasant and agreeable nature in the world. It is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles when it settles down. The body has a pleasant and agreeable nature in the world. It is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles when it settles down. The mind has a pleasant and agreeable nature in the world. It is here that this craving arises when it arises. It is here that it settles down when it settles down. So the Buddha calls the six senses, the six internal and external sense spaces, the all, the world. Right? Because this is all we can understand, all we know. We are stuck in this body that has various senses, and that's how we engage with the world. And in engaging with the world through our senses, this is where craving arises. This is where it settles down. Okay, friends? Continuing on with our thought of the day, Karaniya Metta Sutta, page 49, second paragraph from the top. We are almost done with Karaniya Metta Sutta. Okay. Titang charang nisinova, sayanova yavatassa vigitamiddo, etang sating aditteya, brahma metang viharang idamahu. Whether standing, walking, or sitting, lying down, or whenever awake, one should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here. See, the Buddha in many places and in many meditation discourses, this is whether he talks about whether standing, walking, or sitting, lying down, or whenever awake, one should develop this mindfulness. Right? So Buddha is saying, as long as you have consciousness, you should practice metta. Whatever posture you're in, whatever activity you're doing, it doesn't matter. You can practice metta. Right? So this is something, it's the same thing with practicing satipatthana, practicing mindfulness. There's no activity, there's no posture of the body that you cannot practice in. Right? We all practice. So this is what this is explaining. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here. So this is where we get what? The term Brahma Vihara. Brahma is the highest God, the highest heavens. Vihara means to dwell. So when you have a mind, when you protect your mind, the metta in your mind, like a mother protects her only child, you protect your mind dwelling in the heavens. You protect your mind being calm, quiet, clear, peaceful, and so full of goodwill for all beings, which is such a much nicer home than a mind, much nicer vihara than a mind that's in hell, right? We all know this instinctively. We all know this intuitively. Even if we're not meditators, there is still a degree of this is an unpleasant experience, right? We might not be able to understand it fully, but we understand this is an unpleasant experience. And then when you're given an alternative, when you're given a way out, you can say, why don't I practice this instead? Whether walking, standing, sitting, lying down, stretching your limbs, going around with robe and bowl, eating, going to the bathroom, well, no matter what you're doing, right? This is all from Satipatthana Sutta, when the Buddha talks about what they call sampajanya, clear awareness, right? So Buddha gives all of these activities, all the activities that we can do with this body and mind, right? And we can practice metta, we can practice satipatthana, we can do all of our Buddhist teachings within this framework. It's not just about sitting down. If you've been with me enough, you know that. All right, friends. So with this, I wish you a very spiritually successful and peaceful day. Suki Hotu, may you be happy. Practice well and be well.